Imagine this, a remote island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, thousands of miles away from Iran, considered one of the safest and most untouchable U.S. military bases in the world, suddenly becomes a target, not by drones, not by proxies, but by long-range ballistic missiles. Now ask yourself, if Iran can reach Diego Garcia, what else is within range? This is no longer just a Middle East conflict. This is a global warning signal. Because what just happened may have changed the entire balance of power overnight. Tensions between the United States and Iran have been building for weeks, but what happened next shocked military experts across the world. According to multiple reports, Iran launched 2 intermediate-range ballistic missiles targeting the U.S. U.K. military base on Diego Garcia, a base located nearly 4,000 kilometers away from Iranian territory. Let that sink in for a moment. This wasn't a nearby strike. This wasn't retaliation against a neighboring country. This was a calculated demonstration of reach, a message. And while neither missile successfully hit the base, the implications are massive. One missile reportedly failed mid-air, while the other was intercepted by a U.S. defense system. But here's the truth no one can ignore. The fact that those missiles even reached that distance has changed everything. Diego Garcia is not just any military base. It is one of the most strategic U.S. military hubs in the world. From this island, the United States launches long-range bombers, deploys naval operations, and controls key military logistics across the Middle East, South Asia, and even parts of Africa. This base has supported wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and beyond. It is considered a backbone of American global power projection. And now, it has been directly targeted. This development comes in the middle of an already escalating conflict. In recent weeks, the United States and Israel have carried out major strikes on Iranian military infrastructure, including key sites tied to Iran's defense and energy systems. Iran, in response, has been expanding its retaliation strategy, not just within the region, but beyond it. We've already seen Iran launch missile and drone attacks on U.S. bases in the UAE and other parts of the Gulf. In fact, hundreds of missiles and drones have been fired in recent weeks alone, with many intercepted, but some still causing damage. But Diego Garcia is different. This is not a regional target. This is a signal that Iran's military reach is far greater than previously believed. Even Israeli officials have acknowledged the significance of this moment. The IDF chief of staff reportedly stated that Iran's missile capabilities now put major global cities within potential range, suggesting that Europe itself may no longer be out of reach. Think about that. If a missile can travel thousands of kilometers to reach an isolated island base, then major cities, critical infrastructure, and global military hubs are all part of the equation. This raises a dangerous question. Is this escalation just beginning? Because from Iran's perspective, this move wasn't just about hitting a target, it was about proving capability, a demonstration, a warning. And from the U.S. perspective, this changes the threat landscape entirely. For years, Diego Garcia was considered beyond the practical reach of Iranian missiles, but this attack suggests that assumption may no longer hold true, which means U.S. defense strategies will have to evolve quickly. But there's another layer to this story. Reports suggest that the attack came shortly after increased U.S. military activity at Diego Garcia itself. The United States had reportedly deployed strategic bombers and increased its presence on the island, using it as a launch point for operations in the region. From Iran's perspective, this could be seen as a direct threat, a staging ground for future strikes. So the missile launch may not just be retaliation, it may be preemptive signaling. And then there's the role of the U.K. Diego Garcia is a joint U.S.-U.K. military base, and recent decisions by the U.K. to allow expanded U.S. operations from its territory have added fuel to the fire. British officials have already condemned the missile strike, calling it reckless and dangerous, but Iran has accused the UK of enabling aggression, making it a potential target as well. Now, the conflict is no longer limited to 2 or 3 players. This is becoming a multi-front geopolitical crisis. And here's where things get even more concerning. Military analysts believe that Iran may be using modified missile technology, possibly even adapting space launch systems to extend the range of its weapons. If true, this means Iran is not just reacting, it is advancing rapidly and strategically. At the same time, the United States is increasing troop deployments and reinforcing its military presence across the region. Naval fleets are on high alert. Air defense systems are being repositioned. Because once a conflict reaches this level, where long-range missile strikes target strategic global assets, the risk of escalation rises dramatically. One miscalculation, one successful strike, one retaliation too far, and this could spiral into something much bigger. There's also the economic dimension. The ongoing conflict has already started affecting global energy markets. Oil routes, especially around the Strait of Hormuz, are under threat. Prices are fluctuating, markets are reacting. And if this escalation continues, the impact won't just be military, it will be global. Fuel prices, supply chains, international trade, everything could be affected. But beyond strategy and politics, there's a deeper message behind this attack. It shows that modern warfare is no longer confined by geography. Distance is no longer protection. Isolation is no longer safety. A base thousands of kilometers away, in the middle of the ocean, can now be targeted. And that changes how every country thinks about defense. So what happens next? Will the United States respond directly? Will Israel escalate further? Will Iran push its advantage or pull back after making its point? Right now, the world is watching closely, because this moment, this single missile strike, may be remembered as a turning point, not because of the damage it caused, but because of what it revealed. That the rules of engagement are changing, that the battlefield is expanding, and that the next phase of this conflict could be far more dangerous. So the real question is not what just happened. The real question is, what happens next? Because if this was just a warning shot, then the world may not be ready for what comes after.